Hey, these are my daily updates. I run a business that does around $4 million a year, and my current goal is to hit around $6 million a year or 500K a month. So the way I always do these videos, I start them with some YouTube comment Q&A for finally building and strategizing in public, showing you guys how I'm building towards $6 million a year, and then finally showing you guys my growth across YouTube, Instagram, my brands, and also my products. If it's the first time you're seeing one of these videos, I run a channel over here that just hit almost 454. And this one here is at 18.8. The Q&A is typically one of the higher value bits, especially for beginners and stuff. So I'm just going to start with that, give you guys the value right off the bat, and then I'll circle around and show you guys some more advanced growth strats later. So the way I do this is I scroll down and see the last question after this 3-week cutoff. And it looks like the one here is from Omar Helmi. He says, "Hey Nick, Omar from Egypt. You're why I got into AI automation a year ago." Thank you, Omar. Got a real question. After spending 4K on courses, I started a school community last October teaching automation in Arabic. 7 months in, I recorded 300 videos. To market it, I posted 5 high-value Claude code videos on YouTube, but still only 20 people joined, and almost all of them churn after the first month, even while thanking me for the value. A big part of it here is the economy and the payment friction in the Arab world. So now I'm pivoting. I'm building an AIOS inside Claude Code to sell to Arabic SMEs. Hit real revenue first and then make content about the journey once I've actually done it. 2 questions. Is going cash and agency first the right call here, or am I wasting the audience I already started building? And 2, what's your honest take on selling a full AIOS, not single automations, to mid-sized companies? Wow, okay, we got a lot of great questions here. You can see Omar himself. He has what looks like 3,000 subscribers or so. His top video here is about 10,000, and it looks like he's running the classic playbook, a lot of people are doing right now, where they put a giant picture of their face on one side, and then they have some N8N, Claude, workflow stuff in the background. So at least on his packaging. If I had to look at his videos, anyway, they're probably quite similar to mine conceptually from the one that inspired him, so I won't talk too much about that. So it sounds like what he did is what I would consider to be the backwards thing. He spent a lot of time and energy on courses. Then he learned how to build AI and automations. And then he thought immediately, well, now that I know how to do it, I should teach other people how to do it and build a brand. And then he started a YouTube channel. He created a bunch of educational content and then started creating a product to try and sell that. Unsurprisingly, his growth took a lot longer than it probably otherwise would have. And he also didn't have a lot of financial success. And the reason why, Omar, and anybody else that's watching, is because if you are to build a personal brand, and if you want to take an inbound approach to marketing, you need to have something that's inherently very interesting or inherently very valuable about what it is that you do. You need to have case studies that show that what it is that you do have achieved value in, realistically, because we're B2B in our case, the organizations that we've worked with. And if the very first thing you've done is you just learned and then thought, well, now I know more than most people, so I can just start creating courses and stuff like that, teach people and then get money for it, you don't really pass that test, kind of like that minimum threshold. You don't really have the entry ticket for why anybody would actually take you seriously as opposed to the million other people that, can sit down in front of a 4-hour course and then learn it. You got to understand that is not really that big of an ask, right? Being able to sit down in front of your computer, you're not even twiddling your thumbs, expend 0 calories and just sit there and slowly absorb the information. That doesn't really make you valuable enough to really want to spend money on. What makes you valuable is, having been in the market for a certain period of time, having achieved big outcomes taking this cool Claude thing that you've learned and then implementing it into a business and then achieving, $100,000 a month over month growth for some, mid-market company in some sector that maybe they previously weren't really utilizing. It's being able to, reorganize a big team or collaborate with $1 billion company or something like that. What I'm trying to get at is you need some proof that you are actually valuable, and you just don't have it right now. And anybody that learns something and immediately says, I'm going to build a brand that doesn't actually have any of that proof in the market, I think will always fail this market test that people are always asking at the back of their heads. So, what I did, for instance, is, I learned how these technologies work. I learned it 7 years ago. And then rather than me try to build a big brand around this, I just said, okay, cool. I'm going to go sell to businesses and I'm going to get a lot of these businesses results. And then I did. And then when it came time, when I was actually interested in the whole building a brand aspect, I had tons of results behind me. I could speak very confidently on it. And, I could say things like, hey, here's how I made $48,000 last month selling XYZ automation. And when you're in the top 1% of any field, people tend to listen. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a little while back, and we were talking about the most interesting video angles. And I probably mentioned this on the Daily Updates channel before, because I think this is a year and a half ago, but the most interesting video angles are something like you know, world famous bank robber rates his top 10 heists. Why is that interesting? Because it's somebody that's really, really good at something. That something is also a very interesting topic. And then he is providing you some value or information, for instance. $48,000 a month solo freelancer rates his top 10 jobs or something. Or, former AI strategist at Google gives you the whole playbook or something. Like, all of this is inherently interesting because you're not just in, woo-woo land in your head. You've actually delivered real results, presumably for real businesses before. And, people are a lot more interested then. So yeah, I mean, you posted 5 videos and only 20 people joined. Like, what would have been a better path is, over the course of the last 7 months, you took these to market, you delivered some incredible results for real businesses because you do have a good skill set. And then, after all that, now you make a couple of videos talking about how you actually achieved something, not just, hey, here's a bunch of like superficial knowledge. I think probably more than 20 people would have joined because of that. Okay. So not really much else that I could say, but yeah, you go cash agency first all the time. AIOS, I understand why a lot of people are selling them, but I don't know if they're grounded in a real business experience. Like, the thing that you need when you're going outbound with an offer is you need it to be very specific, precise, and deliver a clear, measurable outcome. The idea of like an AI operating system in like a cold email offer to me is very weak. It's like, hey, I'll build you an AI operating system. This will do literally everything for your business and, change everything for you. And I will build it for you for $20,000. Like, that doesn't seem like a very good offer. I've never worked with you before. We have no pre-existing relationship. There's no way that I know that you're actually the sort of person that's capable of delivering those results. It's such like a big thing. An AI operating system, you're going to come into my business and do everything. That means you need to know everything. We have no relationship. How the hell? Why would I tell you everything about my business necessary for you to actually build a good AIOS? You're just some freelancer on the internet. Like, what I'm trying to get at, it's a very big offer to sell. And so a lot of people that are pushing this, I think, just don't understand the mindset of the typical person that is being reached out to. What you want is something highly, highly precise. You want something that's like, I will, build you an automatic quote system that will save your team $5,000 a month. I will do it for you for $1,000. And only if you absolutely really like it will I ask you to work with me, again. And now it's like, okay, so what's going on? He's saving me 5 times what he's asking me for. It's fully guaranteed. He'll give me the money back if I don't like it. Why wouldn't I say yes? That's your foot in the door. You build a relationship with that foot in the door. People then learn you're a professional. You're somebody that can be trusted with even a small amount of data. You're somebody that's not going to like absolutely butcher their reputation or do sloppy work. And then you can upsell them on something larger, like maybe an AI operating system, or just sort of like work your way up. Maybe some mid-level retainer at $3 to $5K a month before you actually pitch the AIOS. So anyway, yeah, my honest take on this AIOS stuff is most of it's pushed by YouTube influencers that probably don't fully understand kind of like the way that at least outbound works. If you have a big YouTube channel and you've sold people over the course of 3 hours of them watching your content, yeah, you could sell them an AIOS for 20K. We have a lot of people asking LeftClick for that sort of thing. But if you've never talked to any of these people before, you have no brand, you have no real social proof or anything like that, you're really just from the get-go probably not going to be able to sell that, which is why I don't recommend you guys do that. I just don't think it's realistic for, beginners. Okay, SP Big Bad says, I've got a paying test business where I run basically everything AI for them: RAG, automation, marketing, research analytics, image stuff, a mentor chatbot, and so on and so forth. This is interesting. Paying test business. It's a full learning ground while I sharpen my actual product. The problem is I can't scale that full menu to small and mid-sized businesses profitably because the time sink kills it. But solving people's problems is the part that I love. So I cut the scope down to 1 or 2 things I can sell clean? Or is there a better way to walk into a business and say, I can fix a lot of what's slowing you down without it sounding like I do everything, which usually reads as I do nothing? How would you frame that? So this is a very similar problem. When you try and sell everything, right, a big test suite, a big menu, then the people on the other end of the line, they don't fully understand what the value is. I mean, the value needs to be highly specific. Hey, you have, closed 1 client in the last month. I could build you a system that will help you close 4 clients a month. I could 4X your business. That's like a much more concrete and specific offer. And what you will do with a offer like that is you will probably not do RAG, automation, research, analytics, image stuff, a mentor chatbot, reasoning over historical data. You'll probably just do marketing, right? So what you need to do is you need to pick a lane, get really, really good at offering one specific sort of result with that lane, scale that offer. And then if you want to do this like big full menu that you're describing, then you just do it after. How do I land clients with little or no actual job experience? Says Iman Likaren. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. Is that Vagabond? Yeah, I think it is. Well, it's the same thing as anything else. You're going to have to land clients. You're going to have to land your first client, just like a heart surgeon's going to have to land their first heart surgery. That client's probably not going to be the sexiest, best client in the whole wide world. But the second that you land one client, you will now have some job experience, right? If you mean like actual, like real world job, like classic 9 to 5, you don't need one. What you need is you just need some proof that you have generated results for something. And so a very good and easy way to bootstrap, for instance, is you start marketing to people via LinkedIn DMs, Instagram DMs, X, communities, schools, whatever, some form of social media thing that's free. You build a system that reliably gets you people that are at least interested. And then now you've proven that you can actually get people interested in something, which is a point of value. And then you just sell that marketing system to other people. You're not promising anything that you haven't already done before and that you can't do, because you've proven, well, I can get people interested. I can run, a LinkedIn X or DM or whatever funnel that generates on average 5 leads a week, leads being defined as like a booked meeting in my calendar. I can't close them for shit, but I could definitely generate those leads for you. So let me work with you on this. Here's my proof. So the easiest way to bootstrap that is you just do it for yourself first. And if you're doing this sort of like social media based outreach, you get really good at it, then that's like a great testing ground for the rest of your offers anyway. Sinatra Foreign says, Nick, what do you think about the AI YouTubers creators meta now? I've seen a lot of creators going live streaming on YouTube, like BridgeMind guy that made a pretty cool AI harness, but I've also seen a lot of smaller ones that went and done that too. Curious your take on it, because I've recalled that you talked about it like a year ago. Yeah, I mean, I tried the whole live stream thing for a little bit, and I was considering scaling up the live streaming. Jack and I have been chatting, and maybe we'll do something like that at some point. But it's just difficult for me because one of the main points of value in pre-recorded stuff is I can just do it anytime. Like, for instance, I'm doing this at, well, you guys can't see the time right now, but it's 8:29 a.m., and I have a call in 31 minutes. And when I started this video 12 minutes ago, I had, 43 minutes. And I was like, hey, I could probably fit in a daily update. Imagine if I had to do this every single day at like a specific time. I wouldn't be able to like be as efficient. I just have a little bit of sunk time at the beginning and at the end. And I don't know. I like the idea of being able to hyper economize my life like that. So at no point in time would I ever do all of my content live stream, but I would probably do a little bit of it, like a weekly event or something. It's like pickleball, weekly I go play with pickleball with a buddy of mine at a specific time every week. It's like, yeah, I could probably fit in like one weekly session or something like. I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is actually valuable. And I mean, like, obviously I'm quite good at Q&A, which is why so many people follow me for said Q&A. That's sort of like the top of my funnel. But, I can't just offer Q&A all day. I feel like there needs to be something else. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. Please comment down below with whatever you'd like to see. Deep says, please answer my questions. What is the best offer lately? The AI agency space has changed a lot since you left it. Is it the AIOS? No. Hopefully I made that clear. It's not the AIOS, especially for beginners. If you run a big brand and a YouTube channel and you have like a working Instagram funnel, whatever the hell, like, yeah, you could sell the AIOS, but don't sell it if you're a total newbie. What you want to do is you want to pick a lane. Okay. The lane should be something involving reach. So it should be like, I'm just going to spitball a ton of systems that are working right now. It should be systems that generate creative. So like ad generation systems that like allow people to test hundreds of different ad creatives for pay-per-click ads on Google, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, right? All these different platforms. This can be video or photo. You could very easily build top of funnel systems that just generate a crazy amount of creative for people and then allow like one ad person on the team to actually like pick the creative that they think works. You should focus on systems that automatically research people to produce like AI icebreakers for cold email and then LinkedIn DMs and stuff like that. All this is very, very, very top of funnel. One step down, you have systems that improve people's ability to actually convert that into interest. So you should do speed to lead systems, systems that when somebody opts into one of those creative ads that you've helped generate, you immediately reach out to them. You maximize the setting or booking rate. If you're in a business that does calls, for instance, like Clairvo, for instance, a lot of the businesses that we work with get tremendous amount of value out of literally just like they change nothing else in their funnel other than how they call the people that fill out the ads. It's literally like, okay, rather than calling them once in a certain time period, we just call them twice in a certain time period. And then we call them every day for like 7 days. It's like, if you just do that, you can literally double your revenue. It sounds dumb. Same thing with SMS. You miss a call. It's like, okay, well, now I just have a simple system that just texts the person and says, hey, just missed you, try to give you a ring. We'll give you a ring in like the next 30 minutes if you're available. And if not, we'll just continue checking in with you. And then somebody texts back. It's like, oh yeah, thanks for that. Sorry, I was just out. Can you call me at whatever time? Now you have a system that automatically schedules that in. So a setter can actually give them a ring. Like, that's an example of a really high ROI system. Why do you think Clairvo is so valuable to the businesses that we work with? So where am I? I'm at like the acquisition step. Systems that like automatically follow up with people that have expressed interest, over SMS, email, text, DM, whatever. Those are really big. Systems that automatically give somebody an asset for like inbound lead magnets. So like many chat-based systems that like you build funnels where a creator will post something, do a challenge. If somebody posts a keyword, then they'll automatically check in with them. That's really big. These are all things that improve a company's ability to make money. And at the end of the day, if you focus your offers on a highly specific lane and you produce a valuable outcome, like I'm just, generating you money, or I'm improving the number of leads that you convert to a booked meeting or whatever, you can proportionally like improve their revenue very easily. Company that's doing 500K a month with some crazy inbound funnel, you could build an automation that just like improves the follow-ups of the funnel. You could literally improve their revenue by like 30% in like 2 days. It's crazy. There's so many low-hanging fruit that companies are leaving on the table. Okay, so that's that. And then how about like convert? Well, you need to improve your ability to actually convert people. So that's things like automatic quote systems. You're working with like some company that installs, I don't know, air conditioners or something. It's like, rather than you having to manually create some shitty quote, just like build the best quote template ever for them and then have AI populate that in like very high levels of quality in ways that seem like you've written the quote just for them. Hey, Nick, thanks a lot for the chat. I did some thinking about the best things for you, and I also reached out to a few vendors to see if I could give you a discount. Here are the best options that I think would work for somebody in XYZ location. There's this air conditioner, this air conditioner, this air conditioner. Our team can be there as early as X date. You can book a call using this, and I'll check in with you in a couple of days to follow up on whatever. In a beautiful like landing page, that's your quote. You're going to get way higher CVRs and conversion rates across the board than if you just send over some shitty Google Doc like most air conditioner installers do. That's like helping with the sale, right? And then finally, once you've actually like closed the person, it's like, how do you like follow up, re-engage them? It's like, automated follow-up systems that check in with people. It's like, hey, Pete, no, we haven't talked in a little while. I know your third daughter's birthday was 2 days ago. Hope everything's going well there. Just wanted to check in on X because I think there's a lot of value for you and blah, blah, blah. These are relationship-based systems. You take the transcript of the call, okay, that closed the person. You enumerate all of the personal details about them, store that in some database. And then in the future, when an AI goes through that, maybe once a day, once a month, once a year, whatever, does your big shot, it pulls personalized information from these to actually check in on them. All these work really well right now. And, you mentioned that the agency space has changed a lot since I talked about this. Well, guess what? Most of these worked really well like a year and a half ago too. Most of these worked really well. Not all of them, but most of these. Anywho, is it time to replace N8N with Claude Code? I don't think necessarily. Please give us a detailed Loom strategy for applying to jobs on Upwork. It's the same thing that I've been talking about before. You just need to highly customize your app and make it seem as if like, hey, I just had to record this for you because I just built something really similar, and this is the best way of me getting it across. I'm also giving you the system right now. So if you find this at all valuable, just send me a message and I can continue producing value for you. Can we use Claude Code with Appify? Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Pump These Updates are back as a dude doing the thing who gets inspired watching other dudes do the thing. Wish you continued massive success, Nick. Thank you, Paul. Was that school call recorded, says Nick. Yes, it was. Nursery graduate says, hey, Nick, love the daily updates. I'm starting an AI consulting practice out of India, specializing in custom programmatic backends rather than basic no-code wrappers. Interesting. What does this mean in regular English? Custom programmatic backends rather than basic no-code wrappers. I'm currently mapping out new niches to target for a fast client acquisition sprint, but I have a strategic roadblock. I'm concerned that traditional brick and mortar or legacy businesses in the West might be highly resistant to trusting their infrastructure to an offshore dev. Is this resistance from brick and mortar a real structural hurdle, or is it mostly just a limiting belief? Yeah, it's almost certainly a limiting belief. Don't worry too much about this. You're turning this into like a strategy thing, just the way that you're writing this. I don't know if you have AI assist you with this, but I'm specializing in custom programmatic backends rather than basic no-code wrappers. I think you think that you need to be selling something different. It needs to be super special. And I feel like, and this is just my weird psychotherapeutic read, you believe that if you're not selling something that has never been done before, or something that's like very uncompetitive in a niche where there's like no competition, you can't succeed and it's not worth your time. I would have you disavow yourself of those notions right now. I don't even know what custom programmatic backends rather than basic no-code wrappers mean. And I mean, like, I'm sure I could sit down here for a second and think about it, but like, you don't need to be special, you know? You don't need to be special at all. You could sell the same things that I just talked about for deep, and that a lot of people are probably going to try selling, and you could do really well. And the reason why is because you don't need to be special. You need to be effective. And a lot of the time, effectiveness is not what is in the sky, all the hyper cool, special, sexy things, agentic engineering workflows, cool harnesses, custom programmatic backends. It's boring stuff that's been at your feet the whole time, like texting somebody every day for 7 days after they fill out a form. So all of these are limiting beliefs, and I think it's just because you're spending a lot more time thinking than doing. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that, okay? Hopefully that makes sense, my man. Don't sweat it too much, nursery graduate. Theo says, hey, Nick, first of all, please keep making these daily updates. They're always fun to watch. Thank you. My question is, I'm in a rough spot now financially. Do you think it's a good idea for me to spend like $50 a month on Upwork Connects till I get my first client? Furthermore, if the answer is yes, should I use this strategy I've seen you mention where you overbid or not yet? You know, if I were you, Theo, I would be very specific about these jobs. You're probably not going to get down to $50 a month without spending like you're going to be able to send like 15, 20 Upwork apps a month, which really isn't that many. What you should do is you should have like an hourly timer, and you should just check in on Upwork once an hour, and you should just see if there are any jobs posted in the last hour, and you have to be very quick about this, that makes sense for you at your current level of skill with your skill stack. And then you should bid a very reasonable amount. Set yourself an upper limit of like 30 connects or something like that, probably, which is about $2. And then just only apply to jobs like if they've been posted in the last few minutes to maximize the probability that you get seen and clicked that bid on without you having to bid like hundreds of connects, thousands of connects. So that's probably what I would do. I'd be very specific sniper rifle if I had the $50 a month. But yeah, I would spend money on Upwork just because it's the simplest and easiest way to bootstrap that. And then also, you should be doing some form of DM as well. Like LinkedIn DMs are free, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Goat stuff. Trying to reach 10K per month, says Hung V from 3K. We'll join Maker School soon. So pumped. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Creating digital assets says, how mature for a 17-year-old male? I have no idea why you said that. Hey, Nick, thanks for the response. No problem. I got to the point about putting money in making money, but my main concern is closing clients while also doing my full-time job. The tech part is not difficult, but if I start Upwork from scratch, I will have to either play on price per project or something needs to stand out. And obviously, I can't out-hustle my unemployed version in fast replies, LOL, and being attentive at my job, as dev is already eating 6 to 7 hours of my day. I hope you can understand the job is important as I don't have cash flow. I'm ready to spend money wherever it's needed or a per price model or whatever strategy possible. So my cleared question was actually, what would you recommend to someone who is already okay on the technical side but has time constraints due to full-time jobs? I'm pretty sure you've seen such cases, LOL. Yes, and Maker School's curriculum was built for people that are basically in your exact shoes. We spend, 2 to 3 hours per day hyper-focused on mostly sales and marketing, although we also help you build like some business info on the side. We help you economize it every day through check-ins from me, other people in the community that have done similar things and so on. And then you learn how to do 5 hours of outreach in an hour. You time box that, do it at the beginning of your day, and then book calls around whatever your full-time employment is. Then we actually help you like close the deals and whatnot through coaching and accountability. So to be honest with you, YTKer, there's nothing unique about your situation. It's actually very standard. You have nothing special about the situation that you're in. There are a lot of people that do exactly what I've talked about over the course of the last few minutes in your situation. The vast majority of the block is just your own limiting beliefs. You are your worst enemy. You think that you can't do it because you have 6, 7 hours of your day. And then you start thinking like, well, Upwork's going to be really hard because a bunch of other people are doing it. The reality is, if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth doing. The only reason why this is a worthwhile thing to do is because it's hard. So if you reframe your mind towards, hey, this shit is hard, that means I should probably be doing it, I think you'll have a lot more success. Darth Vader needs his voice back, says Orlando. Thank you. All right, I got one more in me, and then I'm going to do some strategy and then sign off. Dishan says, I'm from India, completely new to AI automation. I'm interested in getting started, but I'm struggling with info overload. Every YouTube creator seems to recommend a different business model, and the field is evolving so fast that it's hard to know where to begin. I agree with you. Yeah, we all have big dick syndrome where we think our way is the best. I will let you know that the optimal approach here is, rather than succumbing to this information overload, if you're going to follow somebody, just follow one person, whether it's me or somebody else, and just stick to their roadmap and don't do anybody else's roadmap. The reality is there are multiple paths to success. And what's more important than choosing the right path is just choosing a path and being consistent about it. If you choose my path, maybe you achieve results in X time. If you choose somebody else's path, maybe you achieve results in Y time. You're still going to achieve results. And X and Y are not going to be all that different anyway, I would hope. Could you walk me through a step-by-step roadmap that covers which tools I should learn first, which AI automation business model makes sense for a beginner, which services or products I should focus on selling, and how to realistically make my first $1,000? You should learn Claude Code and N8N. Claude Code because there's both it is the most explosively improving technology currently on Earth, and N8N because there is a pre-created job market for that on platforms like Freelancer and Upwork, which will allow you to very quickly get your first job. The AI automation business model that makes sense for a beginner is you should focus less on constructing this perfect modular business, and you should just try and front load sales and marketing related activities as quickly as possible. Don't worry too much about building out a very intense back end and like having your hiring working and all that stuff, because that's not a problem you need to solve until you hit maybe $10,000, $20,000 a month. So literally your only job right now is just sales and marketing. The second you have actual opportunities, trust that you'll be able to solve them. What services or products should I focus on selling? Hopefully I've answered this in a previous question, but basically just focus on things that directly improve a company's revenue, at least for right now. And how to realistically make my first $1,000, charge $1,000 for your first project, and you can absolutely get that. Alternatively, maybe your first gig is totally free. You do that for some case study that you get on LinkedIn, X, school, whatever. You do that for a couple of weeks, and then you segue that into a case study on your Upwork profile, which allows you to get a lot more interest because you've actually demonstrated some value. Hey, I've worked with a $2 million a year business to do X, Y, and Z is a lot more sexy than, hey, I watched a bunch of Nick's tutorials and I'm ready to help. Yeah, I mean, you could price $1,000 for any of the systems that I talked about, at least. Although my opinion there is never price a round number like 1,000, because the client on the other end will be like, why did you price 1,000 and not 1,001? Why did you price 1,000 and not 942? What about 1,000 is so special? Nothing. You just pulled it out of your ass. When you price round numbers like that, you're typically a lot more prone to like negotiation and whatnot. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So that's where we're at now. That is 27 minutes of Q&A. First question was pretty long. I think the rest were pretty good though. Hopefully you guys appreciated that. So I had a lot of people ask me about this humanization thing that I was doing the other day, for good reason. I think it's pretty cool. And so I'll talk about it. Basically what you do to start is, and this is like the Nick humanization protocol. And you can just paste this directly into Claude if you want to do something like that for yourself. So first of all, you need a certain amount of content, like written content. So in my case, I had around 200K words on the internet. What I did is I had Claude go through and grab all 200K words and just put them in markdown files in a folder called like Nick's content. Second, what you do is you train a classifier on this content. And what you do is you feed it, okay? Or what you do is you tell it, train on like vocab, sentence structure, and it'll come up with a good way to do this. Grammar, etc. to come up with perplexity. Perplexity is just it's like a statistical thing for language models. Shit, I don't actually even remember what it really is. Perplexity meaning. No. In AI, it is a measure used to evaluate the performance of language models. It refers to how well the model is able to predict the next word in a sequence of words. So basically, if a model can predict the next word in a sequence of your words, it's pretty damn good. Okay. And the perplexity will be very low. So basically what you want is you just give this to Claude and it'll come up with a way to do this for you, which is quite nice. Okay. And then once you have this classifier on your content, which is now like the Nick classifier, you have AI generate whatever content you want. So maybe it's like, I don't know, it's your book or whatever the hell. And then fourth, what you do is you build a workflow where for every sentence of the AI generated content, okay, we compare whatever the perplexity of the snippet, which you calculate, which you figure out with whatever this classifier is, to like some base Nick text, or, replace Nick with whatever. You get a number like 1.5, and then you say your goal is to get this below 1. And then what the AI will do is AI will generate, 10 candidate sentences for you. Like haiku, for instance, will generate 10 candidate sentences for you. And then just pick the one with the lowest perplexity. And then, you have all of these possible sentences, and then it just selects this one. And then this is like the one that has like the most Nick sounding. And then you get this AI generated piece of text that goes through and then second passes just replaces all the sentences with things that sound the most like Nick. And then it's not like perfect, but instead of it being like 70% of the way there, like I think most AI text is, now it's like 95% of the way there. And so with this, I've actually gotten to write a fair amount of content that seems like I wrote it, but like AI has really helped me. And when I say help me, I mean, like, I obviously I come up with the ideas and stuff. So I'm still sort of in the driver's seat, but it helps the actual like writing bit, which is pretty cool. So good example of a situation I just applied this to. I voice noted like a bunch of stuff on how to build a personal YouTube brand. And that was pretty good. And that personal YouTube brand voice note was like really, really long. I probably spent like 30 minutes just talking. And then I had AI organize that into just like a big chunk of, basic like bullet points, like paragraphs. Basically took my giant voice dump and then converted it into something that actually kind of made sense structure-wise. And then I was like, hey, can you reduce the perplexity of this? And then they did reduce the perplexity of this with my little flow here. And then, I went through and I manually edited it. But I think with that, I was able to write something that previously probably would have taken me like 10 hours, and I did it in like 5 hours, maybe 4 hours. So is this like going to totally automate the work that you do? No, but it is going to significantly allow me to produce a lot more content. So I pumped that into Maker School, and I've had a lot of people like really enjoy the content. It's still very Nick, but obviously there's some structural components there where I was just like, shit, this would have taken me forever to write, and so on and so forth. And then I had AI help me with that, and it was great. So closed a bunch of annual deals, probably made like 15 grand, and it took me just a few hours. And that's going to make me a lot more money in the future as I use that as like an annual upsell for Maker School. It's pretty sick. Pretty sick. This to me is like the definition of like empowering a person as opposed to like replacing a person, because it's like, it's me. I'm just like better. I'm like more efficient. I'm like more effective. I can do more in less time, and it's me. But, having AI slop generated constantly that like finds the ideas and topics and like basically pulls it from somebody else's brand, and then you try and pretend like it's your own. That to me is like kind of bullshit. So hopefully you guys see the difference there. Okay, now let's do some stats. It's June 23rd. La-di-da-di-da. 453, 388. I think it's 453, 421. Wow, we gained a lot, which is nice. Which means I've grown by 0.22% in the last 24 hours, which is sick. My daily updates channel was 18,839, 18,840. Thank you to whoever just subscribed. Which means we've now grown by 0.29. And I think the magic of just like consistent daily actions are already starting to accrue. because all of these numbers are vast overperformers relative to just a few days ago. Like if you look at this, well, maybe not Instagram, but if you look at my YouTube, this is like, that's kind of a bump, right? That's kind of a bump right here. This is also kind of a bump. And then this is a hell of a bump. I got like 7 or 8 customers in the last 24 hours. I just logged this beforehand now because I don't want you guys to see the member data, because you can't go on the member page and see the number unless you also like count the people on school, which is annoying. Then my position continues to improve. So yeah, I mean, like things are going pretty well, and I'm only a few days into this daily updates. One thing I really have to do is I have to get back to creating main channel content. That's been pretty difficult. I think daily updates are far easier for me because it's quite structured and the content sort of creates itself. Like people will ask me questions and I'll just like talk about the questions. That's pretty cool, right? Main channel content where I have to like ideate, come up with like a pretty good angle and then like record it. And then like I kind of want it to be good. Also, I want to spend more time on the packaging. That's been kind of tough to fit in. Like I can't really just fit that in the mornings because again, I'm moving and stuff. So I have some cleaners that are going to kind of come over either today or tomorrow. Then I have to like move a bunch of boxes out and stuff. And then yeah, and then I'm actually gonna go. And my main thing is like, how am I gonna do these daily updates on that day? Because I have to take down my desk, I have to take down all my equipment. I'm gonna have no camera. Gonna have to figure that out. I think on the 25th, I'll wake up really early in the morning, and then maybe I'll just do like a video. Maybe I'll keep the desk here actually up until I literally move it, and then I'll do a video at like 5 a.m. or something. And then I'll go, we're actually going to like move our stuff out and then drive all the way down. And then on the 26th, I'm going to be at like some hotel because I'm staying overnight somewhere. So I don't actually know how I'm going to do the daily update, but I'm going to have to figure it out because I don't ever want to miss another one of these. I want to have like daily updates going until it's 2032 and AI is converting all humanity into paper clips. And I want to like be recording the daily update as the AI is slowly converting my body into lead as it's scanning my brain. I want to be like, hey guys, Nick here. Today, I want to show you how I'm making $400 million a month. Anyway, all right. That's it for me. Have a lovely rest of the day. Catch all y'all later.